Thank you for joining us today with the Mike Tellez Show. My name is Mike Tellez. I am excited already to start as we got Eloy and Macha. He is not only running for school board, he has become a close friend of mine. We dream the same. We have the same vision for our kids. We have a vision for a better tomorrow, not necessarily for us as much as for them. But that, I'm telling you, Eloy, thank you for coming on, man.
Mike, thank you so much.
I'm going to tell you what, man, you got me all excited again. Last time I thought you got me more excited now than ever.
I appreciate that. Likewise.
Eloy, you're a double E?
Yes, I am. I graduated here from New Mexico State.
New Mexico State,
back in
all
1997.
right. That's my school, too.
Double E, yes, sir.
Double E. That is awesome, man. You know, when I talked to you, I said, man, this guy's so smart. Now I know what it is. I taught communication.
Yes, sir.
At NMSU, and all the freshmen had to take it. And, you know, we'd have the students here that all sit kind of randomly here. But over on this side would be a group that stuck together.
Sure.
And I went over there, the engineers. And I'm telling you, when I would have them turn in a project, they would have it designed and worked out so beautiful. I'm telling you, engineers are special people.
No, engineers are interesting, right? They are problem solvers.
Yes.
Of any problem.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is what's one of the things that I'm so grateful that I was given that opportunity to go to and get a double E degree here in New Mexico, is you can get so detailed in one aspect of the problem, but you can also step back and look at the big picture.
Yes.
In other words, how can this problem maybe be solved by this other solution, or how those two together can solve these other solutions? I mean, Mike, that type of skill, if you will, it can be so impactful in our community.
Absolutely.
Solving problems.
You know, at the Dream Center, we had a reading lab we put together. And I let him use it. I said, go do whatever you want. If you're going to teach kids how to read, do it.
Yeah.
So Mr. Crane brought all these engineers, and we had high-end engineers, one from Stanford.
Sure.
Now, they sat at the table with their pencils and paper and started dreaming, and I saw them create a whole different world for reading on how to get kids to read. And I said, an engineer teaching someone how to read. Mike, our minds are not limited to one thing. They look at every problem and they can take it. And
Yes.
I'm telling you, engineers are just the most phenomenal people, man. The way you all think.
No, and that's one of the beauties about it, right? That giving any problem whatsoever across the spectrum, okay, it's a challenge. It's something that we look forward to. Going, okay, how can we now solve this one? And that point is solve it outside of the box. You're not constrained to only solving it using how it was solved before.
And have you ever seen an engineer that thought in the box?
Oh no,
They're not engineers.
they're not engineers.
You know that I believe that, you know, I work with a lot. I have 60 kids. They're from 7 to 18 right now.
Yes, sir.
And they're in the boxing gym, and we're teaching discipline and all that. But when we had the reading lab, which moved on to the schools, I had 160 kids at one point. Now, you know what? We took those kids from pre-K all the way up and worked with them, teaching them how to read. Well, you know where I saw the most engineers at? In those young kids in that reading lab.
Is that right?
Those kids can envision, and I started thinking, I said, you know what? It starts planting the seed in the school.
It does. Right there in kindergarten, that age group.
You know that Robert Kennedy did a study in 1967, 66 on the barrios in New York. And he says, I want to know why these kids are stuck in that cycle and can't get out of it. And they said, well, we have till third grade to instill that they can do anything and reinforce it to the point where it carries them through. If we don't reach them at third grade, they are going to feel they're condemned to the world they're in.
That is so true.
And they're going to say, I'm going to end up there.
No, and this is that time window that we have, kindergarten to third grade, that we need to ensure that not only do they have reading, they have writing, and they're able to start articulating, articulating their ideas. And then that becomes the foundation, Mike. Without that foundation, how can you go into fourth, sixth, eighth?
Exactly.
You need to have that solid foundation.
The reading, if they cannot read by third grade, they'll never read.
Yes.
They'll never be proficient. You know, the newspapers were created in a 6th grade level of reading.
Yes.
Everything we read is created in our elementary. Well, Mr. Crane said, Mike, we got all these high school kids and college kids coming in,
Right.
and when we test them, they're at a 3rd grade level of reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, why? He said, we're dropping the ball. Somewhere along the way, we stopped thinking reading and writing is not that important anymore.
And we are doing such a disservice to our students and our future, if you will. Our
Yes,
future
we
is our
are.
students. There's something interesting here in Las Cruces that we have to recognize and highlight. In 2018, 3 years ago, Las Cruces Public Schools was so excited about saying 90% of the students graduated. But if you look at the detail about reading proficiency, that was in the 30s. Mike, exactly what you said are seen there. And then if you talk to our community leaders around here in Las Cruces, a lot of them are frustrated that a lot of the young kids that are applying for jobs, they now have to teach them those core skills of reading, core skills of writing. We're seeing that also in the community college. Well, a lot of...
Hey, I taught that communication class, and I'd say 20% of the students could write
Yes.
and spell.
Yes.
They could write and spell. They couldn't do the most basic of things, or reading.
We're setting them up for failure.
Yes, we are.
So what does that mean, right? When you're 18 years old, you're expected to be able to write a contract to open a financial account, a credit account.
Mm-hmm.
How many 18-year-olds today can actually read the entire contract? When you're writing an application for job employment, how many can read the entire details, the fine print, if you will? So if you don't have those core skills in reading and writing and articulating, are you really prepared to challenge the world? No.
When I owned IHOP restaurant for 18 years. 90% of every application that ever crossed my desk was not filled out complete. And it just name, address, they could not fill out an application.
Right.
You know why? Because we've taken the importance of teaching kids the basic skills in school. And right now, worse than it, more than ever, we're veering away from education, and it's turned into political, social stuff.
Social engineering.
Oh my
call
goodness,
it for what it
it's
is.
terrible, man.
It is. We're doing, again, a huge disservice to our students. We're not properly preparing for their future. So with that, this is where it's interesting. From my background, I've been doing technology work for the last 25 years. I'm an innovator. I have a number of patents under my name, and I'm already seeing trends on where technology is headed and what the future of work is going to look like. Mike, if we do not prepare our students properly, we're going to be so far behind. As it is, New Mexico is number 50 in a number of things. When it comes to technology here, the last 18 months have opened our eyes that we're ill prepared. We need to stop that, calling that bleeding, if you will, in making sure that our students are prepared in the basics, reading, writing, reading comprehension, sciences, but also start mapping a direction such that by the time they're 18 years old, they're adept and they can start bringing a lot of positive impact to our community.
And it begins in elementary.
It does.
We cannot ignore the fact that up from K to 3rd grade, the importance. They start looking for STEM students when they're in high school. Oh my goodness, STEM begins in elementary.
A lot of things begin in elementary.
You won't have 3 or 4 top people in STEM if you start where you should start.
And it's not just STEM. We have to look at the entire view of what's available and what opportunities for our students. There's STEM for college, university. There's also opportunities in the 2-year college degrees, opportunities in vocational and trade schools, and those that want to go to the military or they want to go directly to work. It's all great and good. Yeah. But to your point, starting at K through 3, that age, we have to prepare them with all of the skills they need so that we can be successful in all of those endeavors. And then on top of that, Mike, let's start having them dream. Having dream the art of the impossible. What can you do? And how do you get there? If you can instill that idea, call it inception.
And you have till 3rd grade to get them. And you know what we're doing? They already are dreamers. You see kids thinking they can fly. Anything is possible. They'll climb a tree to the top, but they're daring, and their minds are.
They don't have fear.
They have no fear.
They have no fear.
They don't believe in failure. They have not been taught about failure yet. Once they get to 3rd grade, that's where failure becomes a fact of life for a lot of them. But you know what? If we keep them dreaming, that's what made America great.
No, and there you go. When you're talking about the failure, this is where, as an in our educator systems, here in the school district of Las Cruces, we have to focus on their successes and ensuring that when they need some assistance, that they don't fail.
Absolutely.
So the concept of failure is something that we have to be very careful about. It goes back to what we were talking about, fear. You do not want to introduce fear to our students, never. So what does that mean? If we see a student that needs a little bit more help in their reading skills or writing skills, don't put an F on them. Just ensure that they have the skill sets so that they're ready for the next one. So there's an interesting...
Do whatever it takes to get them up to that point.
There you
Find
go.
their areas that they're good at and bring them up to...
Exactly. Don't just pass them because they're now in third grade or they aged out. No. Do not harm our kids by doing that concept. I mean, this goes back to my comment earlier. All of our 18-year-olds that are graduating, are they really ready? Well, no. If they're not ready, well, don't. Make sure that they're ready.
And what's wrong with holding them back till they get to that point?
There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. Again, we're talking about the future of our community. Well, let's make sure that we prepare all of our students. There's no such thing as age limits in my perspective. There shouldn't be.
I agree with that. When I was in first grade, I was held back. My mom told me, says, the teacher liked you so much, you're going to say, all right, I love that teacher. Well, I went to first grade. I learned. They kept me there. They taught me what I needed to know to go to second.
There you go.
In second grade, I couldn't believe how excited I was. I was an AB student. Then I went to a poor school district in Albuquerque. Hawthorne Elementary in Albuquerque, the worst school. And that's where it all stopped.
Oh, man.
Because then they took away, they did not instill dreaming. No. You can do anything. No. You became a number. Right. And if they didn't like you, that you were just a number.
Yeah. Or you start getting labeled. So this is also the other challenge that we have in our school systems. We start labeling kids.
Yes.
So there's each individual student has so much potential.
Yep.
At the same time, though, the idea of a one-size-fits-all, that has to stop.
That does.
So here in Las Cruces, we have special education programs. We have our gifted programs. We have our Magnum programs. We have all programs that can be revitalized, and they need to be revitalized so that each of our students become successful in their own right.
And you know what? Not throw all these students in a class. I did an internship at one of the middle schools. Well, they put all these students all in one basket. And I said, how can you possibly think this student who's an A student, outstanding, can learn in this class with this student that doesn't even want to be there? And we need to find a way to put them in the class they need to be in, smaller classes.
Right.
What teacher can handle 25 kids?
Nowadays, no.
No. But if you got kids that need extra help, put them in a class of 12.
There you go.
And I think we ought to put, I used to say, we should have our PhDs in elementary school. The smartest teachers ought to be in the youngest grades. Because that's the age that we need to develop what we keep talking about. Yes, where the social skills from 0 to 3 years old, well, it's crazy how sixth grade to third grade, first grade to third is another milestone.
It is. It is.
Man, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about, I know your dream. I love it. I think it's awesome. And we'll talk about that more when we return with the Mike Tellez Show. My name is Mike Tellez.
Did you know that student loans and credit card debt stifle our students' post-secondary and post-collegiate pursuits? Hello, I'm Eloy Macha, candidate for School Board District 3. Our students will greatly benefit when they are empowered with financial literacy. This will give them the ability and confidence to manage and navigate financial choices they will face, including that of student loans, credit cards, and debt management. With your help, I will implement a financial literacy program that will prepare our students to overcome any financial challenges they may face. I'm Eloy Macha, School Board District 3.
Paid for by Macha for LCPS.
Welcome back to the Mike Tellez Show. My name is Mike Tellez. We are having an awesome conversation.
We are.
Eloy, I am so excited, man. Eloy, everyone's heard about the term grassroots.
Yes, sir.
What is grassroots?
So that's a great term. So grassroots is really where the community organically comes together to make an impact for the community. In other words, they see a local challenge and they solve it locally by being empowered. Now, this is what's so interesting here in a school district. School board members are representatives of their respective school districts, which is all great and good, but it's all constituents of the districts. What we need is parent involvement, and that needs to be a grassroots effort where the parents, grandparents, community leaders come together and then as a force, not just as an individual, as a force, also become partners of the school board members and partners of the school district to solve and help our challenges. that
Absolutely.
we have to.
And know what's going on.
In
because-
education, yes.
At the end of 9 weeks, it's too late. The end of a school year, it's too late.
Yes.
They say, well, why did my child get a D in this class? Well, man, have you been monitoring his progress? And do we have a system in place that invites them into the system?
There you go.
Because I believe it's feeling like there's a wall built around our schools to where they don't want parent involvement. They don't want involvement of the community.
So this is interesting, right? The PTO, PTA groups here in Las Cruces, they rise and fall. Instead of being this constant that, hey, there's this partnership idea between parents and teachers, for whatever reason, exactly how you described it, there's this feeling that no, parents and teachers are adversarials instead of actually being partners.
Yes.
So we need to rehabilitate that relationship. Parents and teachers are partners to address the success of our students in the classroom, which means you need to have an open door policy where parents can go in there and work alongside the teacher, not the other way.
And you know
around.
what? There would be nothing wrong with each parent volunteering an hour a week to where you always have a parent in that classroom watching and monitoring and knowing what's going on. And you know what I think? I think those students might behave a little bit more if someone's parents right there.
Oh, one or two parents will be there. But at the
That's
same
right.
time, that parent can also understand what are the challenges that the educator
That's
has.
right.
And that parent can be that advocate in that community, going back to the grassroots. That, hey, the educator in third grade may actually need some help in whatever reason. You were saying earlier about the classroom sizes. Having that parental support could actually be beneficial so that even if a teacher has 20 plus students, having that extra parent there can actually maintain a little bit of discipline and control.
And see, what does that cost?
It doesn't.
It
An hour.
doesn't.
It's an investment.
Hour of 1% of your time
it's
is
not a
1 hour.
cost.
You go in and invest 1 hour of your week.
And there you go. Our school districts are an investment. So us as a community, grandparents, parents, we should see this as investing in our future.
Yep.
That's what it is.
And you know what? I was in a classroom and they needed something minor. And I said, that is so easy for me to get. And you know what? I believe that there would be no need those schools if the community, businesses, parents were involved. Do you think there'd be a school that needed anything with businesses right there involved right in them? We need to bring our business, when you bring the families in, well, you bring the businesses that they own.
It's the
Bring
whole
everyone in there.
It's the whole community. So who are the constituents at the end of the day of our students that are graduating? Is the entire community.
That's right.
So what's going to happen as an 18-year-old? They're going to look for a job. That means they're going to be impacting the small businesses here in Las Cruces. 18-year-olds can also go to the local colleges, the community college. It's all great and good. But as parents, guess what? We're going to be interacting with those 18-year-olds, either at college, at the grocery store, or wherever.
And we're going to watch them all through. Imagine what a graduation would look like. We'd need the football stadium. All the business community says we were part of these kids. These are, these are our kids.
There you go.
And we have a community that says those are our kids.
Wouldn't that be an awesome
And imagine
vision?
how proud the businesses and the community is of our kids. They wouldn't have to worry about work.
There you go.
They'd say, those are our kids. Oh, no, of course, you're one of my kids.
They are. We are in this together in that regard, Mike, because our future is our students. And when you look at the whole community recognizing that, it's the community's kids. It's the community's futures.
That's right.
That's right.
And if we start that, imagine in 12, 14 years, well, we will have a workforce.
So
because every business engages and every business takes a little bit of their workforce and what they need, and we've built a workforce.
So, and this is that pivotal moment where we are today. We're in the 21st century. What is the future of work, Mike? What are those skills that we're going to need for our students so that can be successful, but also have that workforce that is adept for the challenges that are going to be happening over the next 12 plus years. This is amazing. You know, with my background in technology, I'm seeing those interesting trends of where technology is headed. And now, what are those interesting skills that we now need? Now, we still need the core skills, reading, writing, the sciences, the comprehensions. Those are must-have. But we now need to start building on those. Because now, in order for us to attract even more great opportunities for our students here in our community, instead of our students leaving Las Cruces, we want them to stay in Las Cruces.
That's our goal.
We need to bring them by making sure they have those skills.
That is our
will
goal.
make that much more impactful.
Absolutely. And you know, you have the right background to instill a lot of that, to start bringing it in and say, these are things we need to start looking at.
Exactly.
And
So
it begins with,
it does. I mean, again, can't emphasize enough the core. What happens in K-3 is a must, the way you've been describing it, Mike. But we also have to recognize, hey, time is ticking. We cannot be left behind when it comes to, you know, New Mexico being number 50. We need to start looking at a way to be number 20, even be number 1. Why can't New Mexico be number 1? We can.
That's
And we
right.
have to set that policy for that direction.
and we do. And you know, we have other candidates out there, Abe. You know, like-minded, we need people to go in to where we have enough like-minded people in there to start bringing in ideas of the future and what we need to change and how we can craft a vision of a future.
It is. Mike, there's Abe Alcazar that's running for District 1 School Board, Mr. Henry Young that's running for District 2
and
School
Henry
Board.
Young's a good friend of mine.
And myself for District 3. This right there is that opportunity, that pivotal moment that we can make that impact to reflect the community's values in our school board and then make sure that we write the direction and we map it for the future.
Absolutely, man. You know, I never thought I would see excitement coming in to a area that no one's ever paid attention to. And I'm going to say they have not. Because I've seen elections, people get elected with 200 votes, 300 votes. 300 people care about the future? I think we need people to get out in droves and start voting.
Yes.
Because even if you don't have kids, it still affects you.
It does.
The future is everyone. Everyone owns the future. If you're fortunate enough to be here, you need to do what you can for that.
Not only that, you need to make sure you elect officials that respect and recognize the entire constituents, not
That's
just
right.
those that elected them. So
That's
from a school board
right.
perspective, I'm not going to be beholden to only the 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 that vote for me. I'm beholden to the entire school district. The people.
And bring the ones who would not usually want to go in because they didn't feel welcome. Whether it's social status, whatever it may be, you tell them, hey, you know what? All of you
Yes.
are welcome to be part of what we're doing.
Yes.
We want you in here.
We need you in here.
We need you.
We need you.
You're the core of the success of this whole entire operation.
That's it. That is it.
And you know
Mike.
what? That's grassroots, right?
Amen.
I think that I am so excited over. I'm so excited.
No.
And you know, I know that it takes time for results, but I'm gonna tell you what: if we don't start now, we'll never see them.
No, exactly. So it's a small investment, if you will, but we're going to see those results over years. But this is where the community comes in together. I've been told many times, hey, you're just an individual. What can you do? If I have that grassroots support of the community behind me as representing the entire district,
A lot.
my gosh, Mike, we talk about impact,
That's
huge impact.
Right. The voice of the people will prevail.
Amen.
And that's what it's about. That's democracy.
There you go. That's what it is.
And you know what? We are, as a society, we're forfeiting our voice. We're forfeiting our democracy and putting it in the hands of people that we don't even know what's going on.
And unfortunately, we're teaching our students the same.
Yeah.
Instead of being active, instead of them having that mentality of, hey, I can make an impact as a community.
That's right.
You know, we're just telling them, no, somebody else will take care of it. You will depend on somebody else.
That's
That's the wrong message for our
And we
students.
want you to think this, not what
There
we
you
get
go.
off that thinking and think this way.
The critical thinking, my gosh, Mike, that right there of its own.
Yeah.
We need to bring that back to our
Oh
schools.
my goodness, Eloy, we need to get together.
Yes, sir.
We need to get the businesses.
Yes.
Come together.
Please.
I'll give you the Dream Center to use. Bring them in there and get some ideas. Let them get some input. put together this.
it's for our community,
What you're
sir.
talking about.
We have to.
The grassroots effect. Bring it in. Let's start. Let's get some excitement there.
Let's do it.
We got to get you in. People have got to. You need to vote for this man. I'm gonna tell you. I don't say this very often. This man has more integrity than anybody. Integrity, character, honesty. I have got to say, you are probably one of the best people I've met with. And I'll tell you, I've been talking with politicians for 20 years.
I'm not a politician.
And finally,
Mike.
I get someone who doesn't talk the normal rhetoric, trying to solve things that have nothing to do with what he is. You're a down-to-earth person. You're one of us.
This race is not about me.
No, it's about the people.
It is.
And the future.
Exactly.
Vote for Eloy Macha. You've got to vote for him. You've got to contact him. Become a part of his grassroots movement. The only way you can do it is to vote for Eloy Macha. And it's coming up November.
November 2nd is election day?
You've got to get ready. So all I can say is thank you so much, man.
Mike, I appreciate it.
You know what?
Thank you,
I
sir.
see hope in the future with you.
Thank you.
And you know what? You've got to vote for Eloy Macha. Thank you for joining us with the Mike Tellez Show. My name is Mike Tellez.